What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. I'm Howard Bender. This is RTSports.com's presentation of another Beat Howard Bender Best Ball Draft. That's right, the only Beat Howard Bender Best Ball tournament out there. $20 entry fee, $10,000 grand prize. And lo and behold, sometimes you get a little lucky and you end up getting your draft live streamed right here with me. So I thank you guys so much for being here today. That's really appreciate that. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. It's just a nice free way to tell the folks at RT Sports we appreciate Bender doing these drafts with us and doing the live stream broadcasts as well. So thank you very much. If you're watching on Twitter or somewhere else, come on over to the YouTube page and give that like and maybe even subscribe. But there's plenty more shows in my future here with the folks over at RealTime Fantasy Sports. Draft season, baby. Drafts. There's nothing like it. There's nothing better. And lo and behold, sitting here right now, I've got an interesting plan for tonight's draft, and I just realized that I am on the clock, so I am going to take a player who I don't normally take and make sure that I do that. That's going to be the theme for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I've been trying stuff with, using the fantasy alarm cheat sheet, making sure that happens for you guys. And what I usually do, and I usually do this with a mock draft, but it's also something great to do in a best ball tournament. So let me pull up this. There you go. You guys can see that draft board right now. The draft is underway. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamar Chase. I took Christian McCaffrey. I'm picking fourth here tonight. Jonathan Taylor, and then Puka Nacua to my good friend Fozzie Dog. Oh, look at that. We got a couple of dogs in the middle there. Dogman 12 and Fozzie Dog right in the middle. I love both those guys. Appreciate everybody being here. By the way, Jan Bolton, the Stan Gable shout out. Absolutely phenomenal. Ooh, ah, alpha, beta. Ooh. If you know, you know. Appreciate everybody in here. Look at that. Jamie Frazier's in here. She's part of the Man Smart, Woman Smarter Fantasy Football League. Robert Voitko, part of Fantasy Alarm FA Nation group over there. Indiana Bears, me, the dogs in the middle, Jan, then Noam Jodas over there. Chico Loco, Henry Sanchez, and then Keith Sorensen picking 10th. So that's the group here tonight. And so I always like to do this with a mock draft, and I'm going to do this with a best ball. I'm going to take the guys that I don't normally take, right? They always seem to lose the tiebreaker to the guy who I favor, but every once in a while, what I like to do is I like to do a draft like this because then I see two things. Number one, am I the one who's steaming up the ADP on certain guys? Am I part of that? Like, should I, kind of back off on some of those? Am I taking guys, a little too early? I do it because people who follow me and read my stuff, they know the players that I like, and then they like sniping them from me, or they actually believe in the players as well. So I've always kind of gotten into that habit of going like a round earlier. So am I the one that's steaming up that ADP? That's something I like to check out. Then I also like to mix up different strategies, kind of see where I want to go with them. And by not taking my guys, I'm not as super reliant on just like default drafting. Default drafting is when you're just kind of winging it, right? And you're just like, I know the player pool. I know what I'm doing here. And you're not really putting as much thought into it. And you get stuck on certain guys. Now, this is also good in a best ball tournament fashion because you always want to increase your exposure, right? You don't want to be stuck on the same guys over and over again. So you want to make sure that you're turning around, that you're doing different things. You're mixing it up a little bit. And so that's my draft here tonight. And I start off with Christian McCaffrey, who is a guy who I'm not saying I don't have any shares of him, but you got to fall for me with McCaffrey. I feel like I got away with something on this. Wait a second. This just in, I am on the clock, and I got to take a guy who I don't normally take. This is actually it's kind of comical the way this is going to come out, but I could just kill two birds with one stone and talk about Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley. I would love it if Saquon Barkley runs more. I really would. Load management is something that they've constantly talked about. Now, maybe Sean Mannion is going to handle things a little differently in the offense over there. I do worry about Saquon's touches. I think he's a fantastic running back. He's absolutely spectacular. But, age, injury, stuff like that. With Christian McCaffrey, I won championships with that. Dude won me championships last year. He did. Because in the leagues where I was like, nobody was touching Jonathan Taylor and nobody was touching Christian McCaffrey, I was at the back end of the drafts and I was like, the 1-2 punch was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So, I feel like I'm playing with house money when it comes to Christian McCaffrey, right? I won championships last year with him. I dodged a bullet. He didn't get hurt. But, I mean, come on. You saw him come out of that playoff game, right? You saw him dealing with the shoulder issue there. There's not a lot of tread left on those tires. There really isn't. I love Christian McCaffrey. But, at some point, you don't want to be the guy left holding the bag. So I'm not going to sit here and badmouth him, and I'm not going to tell you not to take him. But it's just something that I'm not doing. And I'm very specific about that, right? I think he's a great player. He's the, top guy. So, but McCaffrey and Barkley are two guys who I don't have much exposure to at all this season, just simply because I worry about the situation there. I keep going for the younger backs, right? You guys see me taking Ashton Genty a ton. You see me taking Omarion Hampton a ton. So, you gotta, at some point, I guess you just gotta move on, right? You just gotta say, you know what, it was a wonderful time with you. Thank you so much. But things change. We all like, newer, younger, sexier models. How about that? Right? I like me an Omarion Hampton or an Ashton Genty. I don't need no old time busted up Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley. So coming up here on the next pick, let me make sure I'm in here. I like having the two running backs there. I do. I love going running back heavy early on in best ball drafts and then just play a little receiver roulette. Probably going to be where I might live right now, but I'll see what happens here. I'm going. There's two players on the board right now, and let's see what the Indiana Bears do. And the Indiana Bears take one of them. There you go. So I guess I don't have enough. I have too many shares of AJ Brown, so he's really not going to qualify here. Kenneth Walker is another guy who I probably take a little too much. So right here in round 3, Jeremiah Love is not a guy who I take very often, but he's also not a guy who I take very often because of very specific reasons. That are just I don't like what we're going with this backfield here. So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to take me some George Pickens because I don't take much George Pickens. I don't think I have any shares of George Pickens. It's going to be an interesting year for George Pickens. I hope everything goes well. The deadline passed on July 15th, so no deal worked out. Playing under the franchise tag, he's going to toe the line. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with him as the season progresses. The moment he's not getting enough targets in his eyes or that he's not being moved around the field very much, like that was kind of one of the behind the scene things. Now everybody's saying that, Pickens and Lamb are the best of friends and, they're happy for each other. They're supportive of each other. That's great. I'm happy for them that they are supportive of each other. But at some point here, George Pickens wants to get paid. Dallas isn't going to be paying him that kind of money. They're well invested, regardless of how many times Dak Prescott tries to rework that horror show of a contract, they just don't have the money to give Pickens long term. So he's playing for himself. Is he playing for a championship? Yeah, that's probably in the back of his mind. But this dude wants to get paid. And so if at some point, it doesn't work out for him, or if he's just terrible coming out of the slot because that's just not the game that he plays, that can hurt his value. So he's going to be doing things this year just to make sure that his value is high. And everybody says, well, that's just, performing well on the field. And that was why I want him, because he's playing for a contract. But, there's also the fact that if he's not, able to really to live up to that level, he could still be a great fantasy asset, but if he's not living up to that level of like elite, can be moved around all the field, it could be an issue for him. And you know that George Pickens has an attitude. He definitely does. This is not a guy who has not been outspoken in negative ways. So, anywho, cruising through the draft, first QB off the board, Keith Sorensen grabs himself a little Josh Allen, a little fourth round Josh Allen. I guess fourth round Josh Allen is I guess it's pushed down a little bit. If you're in like a 12-team league and he usually goes in the third round, I don't really get the third round. I really don't. I mean, listen, I think that Allen is great. He's the number one QB. I've got him ranked number one. It's just, I guess, is it that much of the difference maker than waiting a couple of rounds for a QB? Or am I just stuck in this pool of analysts who always push down the value of QBs in a draft, right? You see an industry draft board and you're just like, I mean, they're like, what those ADPs on the QB, on the quarterbacks are, they're crazy. I was sitting there, the FSGA draft the other day, 14-team league. And I still got like Mahomes in round 10 or something like that. Now, granted, he's, pushed down as far as like, what QB he is, but I mean, the 10th round, when you're seeing all of these guys coming off the board, and I'll tell you, guys like Trevor Lawrence in that range, Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, they're not the guys who, they're not the big mobile guys. It's just that it's that tier of guys, Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, like, these guys are being pushed down, and then that pushes Mahomes down even further. And I'll tell you what, there was a report today talking about Mahomes that he could be ready. Ian Rappaport said it. He could be ready to be on the field for week 1. Maybe they're being optimistic, but I'll tell you what, Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. And now he's got this supportive ground game behind him. I know I'm on the clock. All right. You don't have to yell at me. Fourth round might be a little too early for this guy here. Well, maybe not. It is tight end premium, and I never take them. So how about this? Let's go with Harold Fannin. I do have some concerns with regard to Fannin's targets. I mean, I'm just, I've been diving into the offense. I know what Todd Monken likes to do, and I know that Todd Monken has used his tight ends before in the past. I think, what was his name? What was it? O.J. Howard, I think, in Tampa Bay. Monken had him for like 2 seasons, and like he showed out pretty well. It was nice. But, you just drafted 2 rookie wide receivers. You've got Jerry Jeudy there as well. Andrew Berry, the GM, said that, after the draft, he was like, just because these guys are here doesn't mean Judy's targets are going down. His targets aren't going to be affected. So if Judy's targets aren't going to be effective, and now all of a sudden you've got these, 2, really strong candidates, right? Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston. I like them both. Denzel Boston profile is real nice as a big split end type guy. And then you've got Casey Concepcion, who's slot flanker type player, but Jerry Jeudy's in there as well. So, the question is Jeudy better as the slot flanker? Which one of these guys stays off the field in 2 receiver sets? Because that's another thing that you have to take into consideration is the number of 2 receiver sets that Todd Monken likes to use. He likes to use 12 personnel, 21 personnel. So that cuts somebody out. So who's the guy who's off the field at that point? And if you run more 11 personnel just because, you've got these targets here or you're doing certain things, what are Harold Fannin's targets going to look like? So I just, it's again, and there's also the QB issue. Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders, both these guys, I don't have huge expectations. I know I've been taking Deshaun Watson a bunch late. We've been talking about it, on all the shows that I end up doing. That, I take Deshaun Watson with the last pick. I think he beats out Shedeur Sanders. I think he's a better QB, Shedeur Sanders. you're not, as Andrew Cooper says on the Fantasy Alarm Show, I'm not telling you to go out and buy his jersey, but consider him with your last round pick, especially if you're in a super flex league. Just, keep that in the back of your mind. So you still have a QB issue. And then the question is where are these targets going? If Judy's unaffected, somebody's losing out. That's all I'm saying. So I don't really take a lot of Harold Fan in there. Tyler Warren. I don't have a lot of Tyler Warren, but that's because everybody always takes him in front of me. I don't know why in the world I would have gone Harold Fannin over Tyler Warren, because I don't take Fannin at all. So let's take a look at where I'm going to go here. I got 2 running backs, a wide receiver, and a tight end. Could go wide receiver here. Ooh, this might be an interesting one because I don't really have much of him either, or hardly any, actually. And we're still building a winning team. This isn't just about a bunch of guys that I hate on. This is just, guys who I don't normally take. Here you go. Emeka Egbuka. I mean, maybe I don't take him because he falls into that line. Zay Flowers, Devontae Smith, Ladd McConkey. I love the 3 of those guys. I have plenty of shares of all 3 of them. Egbuka falls into that range. T. Higgins, he just went off the board there. Luther Burden's in here. What about DJ Moore? Why is who's sour on DJ Moore? I don't understand the logic here. You guys know that DJ Moore's best season that he put together, it was in Carolina, and it was in Joe Brady's offense. That's why they traded for DJ Moore. He's got the familiarity with Joe Brady. He knows what he's doing in Brady's offense, and Brady loves him. So, yeah, I mean, so I've got that. All right, so Mike McDaniel takes over in L.A. Love McConkey with that. Devontae Smith, I love him in Philly because A.J. Brown is now gone. Zay Flowers, I think Declan Doyle is going to do beautiful things with him. I love all of those guys more than I like Egbuka. And, the funny thing is because if I wanted to, to tear down Egbuka, and the reason, some of the reasons behind why I don't love him as much as I love these other guys is more about opportunity. One of the things that we kind of noticed last year. Now, granted, this is Zach Robinson coming in, and he's now taking over this offense. All right. When you look at the roles, though, and how Robinson's going to do it, should be very interesting. And that's what I'm excited about looking at in training camp. Because when Chris Godwin didn't start the season last year, and it was Egbuka with Mike Evans, Egbuka thrived, right? We loved him. He had first 5 weeks of the season. This dude was the darling. He was a game breaker. He was a league winner. It was crazy. He was amazing. And then what happened? Then Mike Evans got hurt, and we were like, oh, Egbuka's going to stay in that, he's going to stay on the field because Godwin was just starting to come back, and now Mike Evans is hurt. So Egbuka then he moved over and he played Mike Evans's role as the split end. He faced the top corners. He didn't move into the slot at all, didn't hide away there. And he struggled mightily, right? He kind of fell off a little bit of a cliff. Did we see flashes of him? Yeah, a little bit. But you had to wait until Evans and Godwin were both on the field together to give Egbuka even a couple of looks here in 3 receiver sets. Now, Zach Robinson in Tampa Bay, he is the master of the 3 receiver set. He loves 11 personnel. It was kind of funny. He comes off of the McVay tree, but he's not changing things around like McVay is, like you see Liam Cohen doing. Like McVay went to that 13, 14 personnel, started loading us up with tight ends because he had Ferguson and Parkinson and Higbee. When you get these 3 tight ends who are all good, decent route runners and pass catchers and blockers, it was working out pretty well for them. So, you see that. You see the Jaguars, they ended up drafting, what's the dude's name? I don't even Beauregard, Bo Ricker or something like that. I don't know. The The blocking tight end they took in the second round of the draft. Then they took another tight end a little later on, a better pass catcher. So now is Liam Cohen kind of tilting in towards what McVay did last year? But you don't have to worry about that with Zach Robinson because Zach Robinson is not that guy. And when you see Tampa Bay the way they're set up with the number of receivers they have, because let's not forget about Jalen McMillan floating around there as well, and Ted Hurst, who they drafted. So Zach Robinson's going to be very interesting to see how he uses Ibuka. And until I actually have better definition of it, then I'll be able to determine, really how much, how many shares am I going to have? Because I don't see his ADP climbing up. I mean, unless there's like injuries and stuff like that, I don't think that there's a reason to move him up from where he is. Fifth round and a 10-teamer. I think we're okay with that. Where do we want to go? Looking at the board here. Decisions. Who do I like? Well, how about a guy who I don't take? No, I don't want to do that because he comes from the same team. Same team over there. I don't want to make that move. I'm not trying to stack or anything like that. All right, you know who I don't take? I still like him. I don't know if I like him that much. Well, this is a terrible moment here. So what do we do during terrible moments? We take players that we don't normally take. So here he goes. Same team. Doesn't matter. Bucky Irving. Bucky. Why am I not taking Bucky Irving a bunch? Well, I mean, listen, the shoulder injury that they've been talking about, they've been dealing with for some time. There we go. Oh, I just looked at the comments there and Pull in Front. What's up at Pull in Front? What's his face? Is that Brent? Is that Brent Campbell? Or is that I can't remember with these. Why do we go with handles here? I am sticking to my show proclamation here. These are guys who I just don't really take. It's not I'm not changing up my strategy. I mean, I don't like taking a tight end as early as I did with Harold Fannin, but that's another move that I don't normally do. Brent, yeah, perfect. Thank you. See, I'm not crazy. I can remember things. So I'm basically giving you the reasons why I'm not taking these guys too often here. I mean, Pickens, obviously, I gave you that. The Fannin reasons there. That's why I don't usually take Ibuka, and I don't take Bucky Irving because there are two things, obviously. It's the shoulder injury and whether or not he's going to be recovered from that, which he is, and they're saying he's going to be fine. He's going to be in training camp. Okay, still, I don't like shoulder injuries for running backs. You don't. Number two is, I mean, Zach Robinson's scheme. Bijan Robinson saw 100 targets last year. All right, I'm not saying that Kenneth Gainwell is going to get 100 targets, but he's going to see a bunch of action, and that's something to take into consideration. They let Rachaad White go, and then they paid more money to bring Kenneth Gainwell in. They paid Gainwell more than what they would have had to have kept Rachaad White at. So that tells you something. They want him. Gainwell's numbers with the Steelers as their pass catch and running back were rock solid. You couldn't really argue against what was going on or how they were utilizing him. So I just think, it's a little bit of a shared backfield here. You're seeing Bucky kind of drop down the ADP. So there he is. I'll grab him. Now the question is what do I want to do on the way back? And that, my friends, should be the interesting one. Let's see. Oh, I like that Carnell Tate. I should go and look through some of your guys' teams here. So we'll do that in a sec. We'll look at some builds. I'll just make this pick and see who I want. Who don't I use? I want to do at this moment here, I wish I had some sort of mustache to twirl. At this point, this is just gray stubble. I wish I had a mustache to twirl, a little evil genius kind of a moment there. I could have just taken a QB there at that point, but I was like, you know what? I take a lot of Lamar Jackson. I take a lot of Drake May. as well. So I didn't really want to do that. Lamar off the board right there. All right, so let's see. A guy who I don't normally take for a variety of reasons, even though this guy was my absolute savior last year. This guy single-handedly helped me win crazy matchups down the stretch. I don't know what it's going to be like for him this year, but Michael Wilson. I haven't taken him. I don't think I've taken some Marvin Harrison Jr. I haven't really taken a lot of Michael Wilson at all. And the reason for it is because I don't necessarily know how this offense is going to sustain enough targets to keep all three happy, or all three at a different and at a comfortable spot. Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Michael Wilson. Somebody's got to be third on that list in targets. Who's it going to be? Mike LaFleur, the head coach, said something to the effect of, what was it? That Michael Wilson was going to play the Puka Nacua role while, Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to play the Devontae Adams role. So you're telling me Marvin Harrison Jr. is the split end. He's probably going to see more touchdowns, and you're going to see more targets, more move the chain work here from Michael Wilson. So is he more valuable based off of volume? Do I worry about what's going to happen with, Marvin Harrison Jr. if he doesn't score a touchdown each week? So, I've kind of laid off of that. I also think that, as much as I can appreciate Jacoby Brissett's attempt to get more money, you're not about that, because the team did draft Carson Beck, and they did bring in, I think it's Minshew's behind him. So, you say, well, I want starter money if I'm starting. I don't know, man. I mean, you won one game down the stretch. You went 1-9 in wins and losses down the stretch. Now, granted, that's not all on your fault, but just it didn't happen. And that's something in reality. It's not fantasy. Fantasy, we love it, dude. Throw for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns all day long. I'll take that all day, every day. I wish I could take Jacoby Brissett in Superflex drafts just because of that, because I do think Arizona is going to be crappy, and they are going to have to turn to the passing game pretty heavily. But are you going to give me, once you're mathematically eliminated from playoff contention, what happens? Does Carson Beck come in? If you're unhappy with some of the play of Jacoby Brissett and you don't want to deal with Minshew, or Brissett gets hurt and Minshew comes in, but do you give a possible help boost here to Carson Beck in a game or two, because you don't want to sit there with Gardner Minshew as your starting QB? I mean, so I kind of avoid that passing game here from them. What do I got? Just pop in, waiting for Draft Masters. Oh, Brent is doing another draft. He's cheating on us, folks. He's cheating on us. Yeah, dude, I would love to do an auction. I would definitely love to do an auction. It's so time consuming, though, in the scheme of things here right now. But oh man, I would love to do one. I'm trying to put together a home league up here in Juneau. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, I live in Juneau, Alaska. I will be down in the lower 48, by the way, for National Fantasy Football Draft Day, August 20th through the 22nd. And I know that I'm meeting up with my buddy Joe Jacoby, who won last year's Beat Howard Bender draft. So you check my timeline for all that stuff there. But Draft Nation 2026, that's going to be the place to be, August 20th through the 22nd. I will be making an appearance there, be doing a bunch of stuff, doing a bunch of drafts there as well. All right, let's keep rolling here. You know what? That is the highest I've seen Isaiah Likely go. That is the highest I've seen Isaiah Likely go. I don't hate it. I just noticed that, right? Because I was like, okay, well, he went with Pitts right afterwards. That is seriously the highest I've seen. What do you know, Dogman12? What do you know about Isaiah Likely's target share? I mean, we expect him to kind of take over for Wan'Dale Robinson in that vein, but interesting. Very, very, very interesting. All right, here I'm going to take a guy who I have. This will be my first share of this player here in the offseason. Believe it or not, it's Jalen Hurts. I obviously just locked in all the rushing touchdowns for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. So run, Forrest, run. I worry about Jalen Hurts. I mean, in the sense that I know the offense that Sean Mannion wants to run. I don't want to put too much stock in the reports that Hurts was uncoachable or anything like that. But one of the things that I definitely and I can't say for certainty whether or not this was Hurts, whether or not this was coordinator related, and why they had to make the change. He just didn't want to throw last year. He did, like, I get it. You got Saquon Barkley there, but they talked specifically about load management. It was my understanding that Jalen Hurts was going to throw more. I was so invested in Jalen Hurts last year because I truly believed that he was going to throw more. Nothing. No, I mean, not nothing, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, at odds with A.J. Brown the entire season because of the lack of pass attempts and targets going his way. Devontae Smith had a solid year for himself, absolutely. But Jalen Hurts did not want to throw the football, and I don't understand. I don't understand that behind it. The why. It doesn't make any sense to me. So, listen, I'm not gonna, totally abandon the guy, but here's a guy who I don't take. And it wasn't, it's like it's different from this guy burned me, so I'm not going to draft him kind of guy. Like that, we see that all the time, right? I mean, everybody gets frustrated when a guy lets them down, right? So what do? They bash the guy publicly on Twitter. They go to a game and scream obscenities at him. They're like stupid jerks about it. But then they turn around and they're like, I'm never drafting him ever again. And they will let their butthurt feelings get in the way of that. So, I'm not like that, in that sense. I can make a comment, make a couple of jokes about it, but when push comes to shove, it was more, it's about disappointment. And it's about, okay, now it's another offensive coordinator here. So we're doing things differently yet again. And so I'm not really sure where I stand really with Hurts. So when I'm looking and taking guys here, right? Burrow, sling that rock, baby. I'm more inclined to take Jaden Daniels, recovering from injury than to take Jalen Hurts. So that's kind of where I'm at over there. Pick is coming up to me. I got 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs, a tight end, and a quarterback. So I'm set for that stuff. So now the question is which way do I go? Which way do I go? And let's see. I'm just trying to find, here's a guy who I definitely don't take a bunch. I don't take this guy. And he's still an unbelievable talent, isn't he? Isn't he? I'm going to drop in DK Metcalf. I have been Mr. DK Metcalf for years. Love the guy. Love the system he was playing in back in Seattle. I don't like what's going on in Pittsburgh because I just don't know what's going on in Pittsburgh. How about that? Aaron Rodgers is older. Is he going to run the football? Mike McCarthy with the offensive scheme. It's very old school kind of way about it. So they bring in Michael Pittman. They still love throwing a bunch of their tight ends. Jalen Warren, Enrico Dowdle in the back. If you bring in Rico Dowdle, you're definitely telling the world that you want to run the football straight up the middle as much as possible. I mean, him and Warren will split that workload there. I just don't know if this is going to be a productive enough offense to support every single guy. So do they all just kind of fall to the wayside here? So, or does one shine over the other? Does DK Metcalf shine brighter over Michael Pittman, or is it the opposite way? Who's going to be in that role? Does it come down to DK Metcalf will have more touchdowns, but you're going to get more receptions and possibly receiving yards from Michael Pittman? It's kind of it's a tight situation. It's not a great team. It's not a great offense. Aaron Rodgers, he's cooked. He should walk away. He should walk away. You guys know he should walk away. Everybody knows that he should walk away. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? All right, so let's take a look at some of the other teams here. See who we like. See who we don't like. Start with Jamie's team. Bijan Robinson, Nico Collins, Colston Loveland, Travis Etienne. Got to put that Cajun on it, people. Ladd McConkey, Drake May, Carnell Tate, Aronde Gadsden, Makai Lemon. Listen, I love Bijan. I love Nico. Loveland's a great pick. I'm a little leery about Travis Etienne. Alvin Kamara's like reworking his contract to take less to stay. Ugh. Like that's just, and then you look at the fact that it's a Kellen Moore offense. Like, what doesn't Kellen Moore like to do? He doesn't like to pass to his running backs. I've been talking about this time and time again, dating it way back. Listen, what year was it? What was it like 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I told people, I was like, don't draft Austin Eckler because Kellen Moore doesn't throw to his running backs. That's not the offensive scheme that he runs. And everybody was like, oh, you're an idiot. Oh, you're stupid. You don't know ball. You can't put that back in the bottle. That was always my favorite. Can't put that back in the bottle. Well, guess what? We put it back in the bottle pretty damn quickly as well. I'm on the clock here. Let's make a pick. Where do we want to go? Interesting. So I'm just pulling up depth now. Not a crazy thing. Don't have to worry about it. You know who I don't take? I don't want to. Yeah, here you go. I don't normally take him, but I'll take him here. I'll take Kyle Monangai. I'll see what he's got. Jim Bowden from the Fantasy Alarm Show, he's very bullish on Monangai. He's very bullish on him. DeAndre Swift is still there, and where's Swift coming off the board here now? He's there he was, 6th round to Jan Bolton's team. So you're looking at that 4-round differential here between Swift and Monangai. We're gonna have to track the points. I always keep looking at that. When you see a split backfield or a shared backfield, just how much of a disparity do we see in the ADP? Like when you look at like Trevion Henderson with where's he in this one here? Henderson's in round 5, right? And then you've got Ramondre Stevenson, who hasn't even been drafted yet. Hasn't even been drafted yet. What are we thinking? Are we thinking that Trevion Henderson is gonna push Ramondre Stevenson to the to the wayside? There you go, Jamie. There you go. Like that to me, that's just a sick value. That's a 5-round differential. It shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't be that way. They should definitely be closer. I get it, right? Everybody's all hyped. They want Trevion Henderson to, I heard from Andrew Cooper, who's a Pats guy, right? He said, because everybody wants or expects him to be like Jahmyr Gibbs, that we saw flashes of that last year. And now all of a sudden this year, it's going to come to fruition. That's the word on the street. That's what's going on down in Patriots Town, I guess. I don't know. So I think it's just crazy. I'll take Ramondre at that discount all day, every day. The only reason that I didn't snag him up right there is exactly because I'm taking guys who I don't normally take. If you're looking at this draft board here, being like, this is not a Bender draft, it is a beat Bender, Howard Bender draft, but no, I'm taking a completely different angle and taking guys who I don't normally take. And then what I get to do then is I get to look and see where the guys who are my favorites, like where did they go? And am I the reason that their ADP is high? Or if I'm in a draft, if I'm not in a draft, are these guys going to go later or earlier than usual? So that's what I want to sneak a peek at here as we go through it. Oh, I've got a great pick coming up here. Don't take my guy, Indiana Bears. Don't take my guy, because here's a guy who I don't have any shares of. None whatsoever. And, it's going to be interesting. I probably should have some shares of him, but I don't. Come on, Bears. The suspense is killing me. It's killing me. And then we'll get back to Jamie's team, and then we'll go to Bob's team, and we'll look at everybody in and out of here as we go along. Tick-tock, Indiana Bears. It's Bender o'clock. Let's go. Make your pick. Travis Kelce. Well done, sir. Well done. I just took Kelce in the FSGA draft last night. I took Kelce in the 9th round, and then I took Mahomes in round 10. I love that. All right. Here's a guy I don't have any of. Ricky Pearsall. I'm not sure what it is. It's you bring in a guy like Mike Evans, and he's going to dominate the targets. And George Kittle will come back eventually. Tonjes will, kind of hold over for a little bit to make sure that Kittle is 100% ready. You've got Ricky Pearsall there. Really reached for DeJon Stribling in the draft. And you did it because you love the player. You want the player. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it, and Stribling's not going in many drafts at all. But I ask you, what if they draft a guy like DeJon Stribling? They've got a guy like Mike Evans. Kittle's back and healthy. Pearsall's been struggling to stay on the field. Pearsall struggles for targets. We just don't we haven't seen much of him. I'm not saying that, he's going to be a complete bust for his career, but it really has not been, this has been a guy that Big Fantasy was pushing early on, and he just hasn't produced. I'm not going to label him the next Corey Davis. We're going to see what happens with him, but he's a guy who I don't take. I don't like the situation. I think he's got talent, but I just don't like where, what his position is with the team. So that's all I got to say about that. Now, back to Jamie's team. We were stuck on Etienne, McConkey. I love him. Drake May, how do you not love him? I think Carnell Tate's going to get tons of targets. I absolutely adore Carnell Tate. I think I don't think he's going to see this 30% target share, but I do think that they are going to utilize the short passing game, hitting Wan'Dale Robinson heavily underneath, and just use that to set up some more downfield work so that Carnell Tate kind of gets freed up. Anytime they see Carnell Tate in a one-on-one situation, you watch. They'll try to hit him downfield, no doubt about it. Like the player. Gadsden, I love him, but we're going to just have to see how things shake out during training camp. You've got Charlie Kohler. Everybody's all of a sudden starting to give helium to Charlie Kohler. Charlie Kohler is a great blocking tight end. But now everybody's starting to talk about maybe it's his pass catching as well. Is he going to be a dual threat? If you've got two pass catching tight ends like Gadsden and Njoku, what's Charlie Kohler doing there that those guys aren't? Blocking. You need him to block. Maybe you're going to get some block and release, but probably not. So to me, the snaps and the targets are going to come down to Gadsden versus Njoku. So you're just going to have to watch that one early. Mekhi Lemon, we can pair him up with my Jalen Hurts pick there. Again, he's the number 2 receiver over there probably. Good solid route runner. We'll see what he does. Ramondre I love. There's the Jared Goff pick as well. to back up your Drake May. Well, not really back up. Oh, yeah, you're backing him up. For a fleeting moment there, I was like, is this a super flex league? Everybody's taking multiple quarterbacks. Bob Voitko's team. Jahmyr Gibbs, love him. Drake London, love him. Malik Neighbors, I love the reports. John Harbaugh said that Cam Scatterbo is going to be at training camp and in practice nice and early, ready to go. And Malik Neighbors isn't far behind. So maybe he doesn't start training camp on time. But all of a sudden here, those ridiculous exaggerations of Jordan Ronan's report, when Jordan Ronan had the audacity to suggest that Malik Neighbors wasn't going to be the killer wide receiver one until maybe like week 5 or 6 of the season, does not mean that Malik Neighbors is missing any of the season. So we're going to have to monitor that one very, very closely. I'm continuing to buy the dip on Malik Neighbors because I've said it before. I'll take 14 weeks of a healthy, heavily targeted Malik Neighbors and just, sacrifice the first 3 weeks of the season. If you're going to lose a fantasy game, let it be early on in the season. How many times do I have to tell you the story of the time that I started 0-4 and then went 0-5 and then I went on to win the championship because I won 10 straight and blah, 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 blah. You don't need to hear it over and over again, but it's true. So I will happily buy the dip on Malik Neighbors. I definitely will. I like the Judkins pick. I'm a little worried about the offensive line, but I think he's going to see plenty of volume. I can dig that. Tyler Warren, samesies. Jameson Williams is going to be an interesting one. I'm very curious to see what happens with JMO because I am a little bit concerned for his targets. Let me make my pick here. Who don't I take at this spot usually? I take a bunch of these guys at their spot here. How about no, that's kind of a reach too. You know what? I'm just going to take my my second QB here then, just because I don't like the other options. Now I have plenty of Patrick Mahomes here. I've got some Baker Mayfield, but I have no Tyler Shuck at all. So welcome to my first share of Tyler Shuck. Here's hoping that this team falls behind constantly, and he is just slinging the rock to Olave, to Tyson, chucking the ball all around. You guys see me like that? My cat just busted in. Do you want to come say hello to everybody here? Come on, buddy. You can pop up. No? All right. Screw you. Thanks for opening up the door. Anyway, I mean, listen, the Saints, I don't think the Saints, I think what's their win total? Is it like 5.5? So yeah, I'm kind of in that spot here where I don't dig it. Wait a second. I'm gonna have to just close this door. Get out of here. In case of emergency, and I don't have to get up, I can just close the door that way. And it'll work. I'll just keep this here because this stupid cat's going to come in and out. All right, we interrupted our fantasy talk here for a little Wild Kingdom. Yeah, Saints going to be losing a bunch, going to be throwing a bunch in the second half. I'm hoping. I feel like that's the course of action that they're going to take. So that's my pick there. Now back to Bob's team here, Jamo Williams. So here's the deal. It's Drew Petzing is the new offensive coordinator. We saw what Petzing did in Arizona, and I feel like we're going to see something very similar in Detroit, right? You're going to end up, you've got Trey, it's Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Michael Wilson. Okay, and you go to Detroit, and you've got Sam Laporta. I'm not saying he's going to be in the I don't see Sam Laporta being in that exact target range that Trey McBride was at. But if you take McBride's targets and you say, all right, that's Amon-Ra St. Brown. If Amon-Ra St. Brown sees 150 targets. Oh, shut up, Bender. You're on the clock. Shut up, Bender. You're on the clock. All right, I'm just going to pair up Tyler Shuck with another tight end. Again, I think I have like maybe 1 or 2 shares of Juwan Johnson. Anyway, back to Detroit. The question is, if Amon-Ra St. Brown gets the majority of the targets, like Trey McBride was seeing the majority of the targets, number 2 on that team, is it, will the scheme dictate the passing to the tight end? Or is it going to be is it going to go to Jameson Williams? Either way, J-Mo is not going to be the number 1 target on that team. He's never been the number 1 target. And if Drew Petzing chooses to go to the tight end more than to the outside, that could disrupt things for J-Mo Williams. So, it's just something to watch. It's just something to kind of check out as the season gets going. These are nitpicky kind of criticisms here. These are the things that go through my mind about a player when I am making these decisions on them. I look at what's the worst thing that could happen to this player. I look for worst case scenario with him, and then I say, all right, well, who's got the best of the worst situation? And then I can do it. Any player can be cut down. Any player. Now, I can sit here and give you an argument against every single guy taken in the first round. I can do it for every single guy who's sitting on this board. Even as players who I absolutely love, I can show you some, I could just deal with some criticism because everybody's got something. Who's got fewest warts? That's the guy you want. So Devontae Adams, we'll see good red zone aspect there. Caleb Williams, I like him a lot. He is dealing with a very, very tough schedule this year, so that should be interesting. Alec Pierce, I like him. I hope his ankle is okay. Kenneth Gainwell, I love. I have so many shares of Kenneth Gainwell. If you have the Fantasy Alarm Draft Guide, I have a series that's coming out. It's the perfect draft for every single team. We have this really cool mock draft simulator over there at Fantasy Alarm now. And so I'm just using the simulator. I'm using my cheat sheet, and I'm drafting in this mock draft against, the other computer players. And I'm just detailing it all. So you'll see pick by pick analysis, why I'm doing it, and everything like that. So, and I do it for every single spot in the draft. So it's 12 articles in the series. Perfect draft pick 1, perfect draft pick 2, pick 3, pick 4, and on and on and on. And you will see Kenneth Gainwell's name always happens to be there, bright and shiny and early, typically in like the 8th or 9th round. Is where it is. Now round 10 here, but this is also a 10-teamer, which is going to push some numbers down a little bit. But I like the build here, Bob. I think so. Indiana Bears, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, love it. Walker, I love. Kyron Williams in the 4th. I still think this is criminal. I know everybody, Big Fantasy's pushing Blake Corum hard. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if this is going to really be a 50-50 split, like some people are talking about or predicting. So I love Kyron. I love Devontae Smith. Mike Evans, a big fan of his. Lamar Jackson, I think he's going to have a great year here. Roma Dunze, I'm a little concerned about the foot. He keeps talking about it. I broke my foot, and I don't think my foot's ever going to be the same. He literally said, I don't think my foot will ever be the same. That's something to worry about. That's not something I like. All right, let me move the draft board up a little bit here so that you guys can everybody see that. I got to go to the old YouTubes here and make sure that everybody can see that. And everybody can. Good. Oh, crap. I'm on the clock. Why do I do all this stuff when I'm on the clock, people? Who don't I take? I don't take. Oh, you know who I don't take? And I definitely don't take him in best ball a lot either. It's Khalil Shakir. I mean, he's a high floor guy. I don't mind him. He is, he's never going to bust out like have this like crazy huge game, multi-touchdown experience. It's just not him. It's not who he is. He is a move the chains kind of guy. He is a short yardage kind of guy. He is exactly who Joe Brady wants. But this is the thing. Like this is Joe Brady's offense. He'll utilize the short passing to high percentage passes to move the ball down the field. And between the 20s, that's great. Between the 10s, that's actually it's great to see. But the thing is that once he gets to inside the 10, Joe Brady is as conservative as it gets. Josh Allen's running it in. James Cook is running it in. Maybe he brings in Ty Johnson at some point. Joe Brady very much plays it safe. Once he gets inside the 10, he doesn't want to give the ball away. That's why we've got Josh Allen and James Cook with so many rushing touchdowns. That's what he does. He doesn't, it's not like, once you get inside the 10, you're always like, oh, maybe we get a pass to Dalton Kincaid. Wouldn't that be dreamy? A pass to Dalton Kincaid inside the end zone, you just don't see it enough. You'll see it every so often, but, Joe Brady plays it super safe there. So Khalil Shakir, he'll move the ball up and down the field for you, and that's great. He'll be fine in a PPR format. He's a high floor guy. He's the guy that you want on your bench that, if you just need a bye week filler and that you're going to get a certain number of points. That's what you're getting with Shakir. That's what you're getting. Creeping through here, round 15. Is this pace moving slower than typical broadcast? I just realized that we're already on for the full hour here already. Holy smokes. We're going to go longer. We're going to finish this up. But it seems to be moving slow. It could be me. I don't want to jinx myself, but I started off nice and smoothly today. I was like really just making sure that no technical difficulties, stuff like that kind of happens to me, because usually somebody else is handling the producing part and I'm doing I'm the dancing bear at the zoo. All right. Somebody else is out there setting the whole thing up and I'm out there just, like the monkey with the cymbals clapping. That's me. I'm the talking monkey out front, helping you guys out with my clever wit. All right, I gotta stop moving the draft board. Sorry about that. I don't want to keep doing that to you. But so far, this draft of guys who I never take is really kind of panning out nicely for me here. I feel like this. It's a good team. It's not this phenomenal team. I'm not like, oh my God, this team could win the whole thing. But wouldn't it be funny if this team won the whole thing? It'd be crazy, man. I wish down here I could take a little Stephon Diggs. I just take that shot, but I take a lot of Stephon Diggs right now. A lot of him. So you know what? Here you go. I'm going to take a guy. Here we go. How about a little Adonai Mitchell? I don't take any of him. I mean, the Jets, this offense, Frank Reich, so unbelievably frustrating. How archaic this is. Oh, look at that Dulcich pick. Who took that? Foz, you old so-and-so. You taking Greg Dulcich there. I mean, I wasn't allowed to take him anyway. But very interesting to see where you got him slotted in there for sure. Anyway, back to Adonai Mitchell. Again, I don't really know what we're going to see with the Jets. I don't like Frank Reich's offense. But Adonai Mitchell is going to likely be the guy on the field. Omar Cooper's a slot guy. Mitchell's on the outside. I think that Cooper's a little undersized to be able to really play it on the outside as much. So when you got a guy who's got the size like Mitchell, he's the other guy on there. And then he stays on the outside. You just bring in a slot receiver during three receiver sets. I think. I mean, again, it's the Jets. Who the hell knows? I'm still reeling over Aaron Glenn talking about a three-headed monster in the backfield. Ruining Breece Hall like that. What's wrong with you? The hell? All right, let's look at my where was I going here? So we're going to the Indiana Bears. We were just talking about the Indiana Bears. We just went through that's right. I got stuck on Roma Dunze with the foot. George Kittle coming back. Jalen Warren, he's all right. Travis Kelce, I actually like this year. Jordan Mason in the 12th round. I love that pick. It's crazy. I mean, do we really think Aaron Jones is going to stay healthy all year? The big problem is that they don't throw to Jordan Mason, and he's not Derrick Henry. So not throwing to him at all is definitely a little bit of an issue. I'm not saying they'll never throw to him. I'm just saying that they don't normally do that. And it wasn't like that in San Francisco either for Jordan Mason. So, but I think that where he's going right now, I mean, this is a guy who's like an Aaron Jones, injury away from like seeing 85% of the workload there, right? They'll throw somebody else in to kind of back it up. But I like that. I like the Mason pick there for sure. I think that's a fantastic pick. Murray, we'll see what happens with him. Little short king. Aaron Jones kind of backs it up. You're locked into that ground game there at Minnesota. Baker Mayfield as your third QB. I think that's got some, interesting developments there. I like Baker Mayfield. And again, this is Zach Robinson's offense, which is going to be a very heavy passing volume offense. And that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see for fantasy. All right. Where do we go? Oh, I know which way I'm going with my next pick. I know which way I'm going if the player is still there. We'll just have to wait and see. So let's see. Who's another team that I want to pick on here? Let's go to the other side. Let's go to Keith Sorensen's team. Pick it on the wheel here. Jackson Smith and the Jigba. He's terrible. He's the worst ever. Omarion Hampton, hogwash. Rashee Rice, forget about it. Josh Allen, terrible, right? So, all right. So we got 4 really great picks here. I like David Montgomery. I do think that he sees a good amount of work there as the lead running back in Houston. Poor Woody Marks. Pour one out for him. It's no bueno. I'm on the clock. Here's a late QB that I don't really take at all. I'm going to give it up for the short king himself, Bryce Young. I'll get my third QB there. I will have 3 QBs in this. Maybe I'll take a third tight end. I don't know. But we'll keep hammering these running backs and wide receivers a little bit more. There's really the running back situation right now is fairly grotesque. It really is. It's fairly grotesque. I don't know if I'm going to be able to dive into it. I don't really know if I'm going to be able to dive into it. We're going to have to wait and see. Because, as far as like when you get down here, you have certain favorites who you just kind of gravitate to. And then you look at the rest of the lot and you're like, ugh, this guy's dog water. So we'll see. Back to Keith Sorensen's team. Great picks there. I like Montgomery. Tootin I like. I think that, especially with Chris Rodriguez's foot issues, I like that. Tucker Kraft, I'm always like lukewarm on Tucker Kraft. I really am. It's not even about the injury coming back. I mean, that's definitely going to affect it in some ways, but, I don't know. I think he's, it's like Wonder Bread, right? It's just Wonder Bread. Sometimes it's okay. It makes for a good bologna and cheese sandwich. It actually makes it an okay French toast. But you know what? Sometimes I like an artisanal bread. Who doesn't love some sourdough? Tucker Kraft is just kind of blah for me. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how the targets shake out. Christian Watson, fine. Corum, I think he's just getting steamed up too much. Herbert, I love this year. Your QBs here, Mr. Sorensen, quite tasty. Allen and Herbert, and you got Jordan Love as your third. My, oh, my. And Jordan Love is the, and that's going to be the interesting one there. If you've caught these drafts before, who was I taking? There was somebody I kind of eyeballed here. I know I'm on the clock. I know. Oh, did I want to take that third tight end? Who did I want to take as a third tight end? So gross. This tight end position is terrible. It's terrible. But why not just throw a little love Colby Parkinson's way, huh? Little Colby Parkinson. Hey, buddy. This dude won me a ton of money in DFS last year. Ton of money. Tucker Kraft, Christian Watson, Blake Corum, Herbert, Zach Sharbs. We'll see what happens there. Jordan Addison. Look at Jordan Addison in the 12th round. I love me some Juwan Jennings. I really do. But, Jordan Addison's not going away. Coker, Higgins, and McMillan. Those are three fantastic wide receivers. Just for depth plays here in a best ball, that's a great trio. It really is. Oh, I guess the point that I was going to make before the Jordan Love pick there, and you know what? This actually applies to Higgins, Kraft, Watson. So one of the things that we talked about during these broadcasts, and Joe Jacoby brought this up, was having a share of that final Monday night football game of the regular season. He said that was, he had Falcons and he had, was it Falcons Rams? Yeah, he had Falcons and Rams. And so, that last day, you get to that point where it's like anything can happen. And maybe that helps vault you to the top. So the last game of the season of week 17, the last Monday night game is Green Bay, Houston at Green Bay. So you've got some shares of it right there. You got Kraft, you got Watson, you got Love, you got a little Green Bay Packers stack there. And then you've got Jaden Higgins coming back. So rock solid, very, very cool build. I like it. But the one thing that I was kind of saying, and now I'm going to go to it right now, is that maybe it's not about the final Monday night football game. Maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's actually about whoever they pick for the Sunday night game. And you can't really plan for that. That's the problem, is that they've got 4 games that are flex games. And they haven't announced what the maybe they have. Yeah. Oh, they did. Philadelphia at San Francisco. Because here you go. You've got Houston at Green Bay. That you're talking about, that's January 4th. And sure, anything could happen. But it could also be a nightmare as far as weather goes. A nightmare. Green Bay in January, outdoors. You see the way CJ Stroud, we've always watched him. We've been like, this dude plays great at home. But you put him on the road, you put him outdoors, you put him in an uncontrolled environment, weather-wise, and it's not good. So if the weather there is that bad, think about this. Maybe the stacks to get interested in are Philadelphia and San Francisco. And I'll tell you what, I don't really have a lot. I've got Devontae Smith. I have Jalen Hurts now, but I haven't drafted him at all. And I've got a bunch of Mike Evans kind of all over the place. But this is my first share of Christian McCaffrey. Is it? Yeah, I think it might be my first share of Christian McCaffrey. I've got Mike Evans. I don't think I have any George Kittle. This is my first Ricky Pearsall. Yeesh. That should be interesting. I'm going to have to test that theory in a couple of more drafts here. What do you guys think? 888-963-2682. No, that's the SiriusXM call-in number there. All right, well, let's get back into this here. I got a pick coming up. What's coming up? I'm going to find a guy who I don't normally take. And I could definitely use, I've really avoided the running back situation. I could definitely use some running back help here. It's brutal. Here's the question. This will bode fairly well. What if George Halani's never going away? What if George Halani is the pass catching back for the Seattle Seahawks, right? Jadarian Price. Everybody's like talking about Jadarian Price, but where are we at with Jadarian Price? This dude sits there and he's he played backup to Jeremiah Love in college. If you're that good of a running back, given the world of the transfer portal and everything like that, why didn't Jadarian Price go to a different program? If you're that good, why aren't you moving on to a program that's comparable to Notre Dame's program and give you better exposure, give you, better competition, get on the field? I asked that question to Jim Bowden, and he suggested that, it was something about the Notre Dame education and the Notre Dame, bloodline. And I just don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. So, I think it's kind of so I worry. I think that it leaves the door open. Charbonnet's not going to start the season on time. He's definitely coming back. Price is there. You brought in Emmanuel Wilson. So could this just be kind of anyone's game? I don't know. You guys hear my cat? My cat is going bonkers here. Shout it out to me in the comments if you can hear my idiot cat chiming in like every 2 seconds, because that's all I hear in my head right now. I don't know if you guys hear it. Give me a comment there on the YouTube channel there. Is anybody watching? Is anybody still here? Come on in. We got 2 rounds to go here. I got 2 picks left. We'll call it a day. You guys are probably tired of hearing me talk. Oh, you don't hear the cat, Jamie? Okay, that's good to know. Ezra, knock it off. He's driving me insane. I feel like he's saying something. I feel like he's meowing as soon as I finish a sentence. He didn't do it that time. Unbelievable. All right. Let's look towards the end here. Let's make these final picks. Let's make them count, people. Let's make them count. Do I want to stay here at the running back spot? I will stay here at the running back spot because I just don't have any legit depth. I really don't. So let's jump in to this 3-headed monster, and let's grab ourselves a little Braylon Allen. We'll see what happens. We'll see how this runs. Again, my prediction for the New York Jets is that they highly disappoint early on in the season. Aaron Glenn gets fired around week 7 or 8. I don't know. When's the Jets bye week? 13. So yeah, I think it could be. I think it could be like 7 or 8, where they end up just getting rid of him and let Frank Reich take it the rest of the way. I mean, I don't love the late bye week for them because I think that I think we could get it done sooner if they had like a week 7 or a week 6 bye week. We should have been like, what? We're 0-5 heading into the bye? All right, well, we're terrible. So let's change our coach already. Let's do that. All right. Anybody else's team really jutting out to me here? All right, let's go through them. Pete Doggett, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown, Javonte Williams, stud. Flowers and Higgins, stud. Likely, I think that was a bit of a reach there in the 6th round, but you got him. You got Kyle Pitts. I love the Chuba Hubbard pick. I mean, this right here, with the exception of the likely pick, this is a Howard Bender draft. I like the Jackson Dart pick. Wandale is a good high floor. Godwin's got great upside. I think we're selling Romeo Doubs a little short. And Jonah Coleman, we'll see if they get some short yardage work. Shaheed's got some upside. Willis is a rushing quarterback. Bell, Cam Ward, Tolbert, and Ridley. So I see what you're doing here. I love, like, right up until you had to start taking, like, Coleman, Shaheed. First 12 picks are unbelievable. Beautiful. I love that. Fozzie Boy, Puka, McBride, A.J. Brown, and you still ended up with Jacobs and Scatabo, 2 guys who should technically be some bell cow backs. You already heard my thoughts on Jadarian Price. Sorry, Foz, but I just don't know. I do love the Brian Thomas pick. I love it a ton, absolute ton. Jonathan Brooks there. You took Jonathan Brooks before Chuba Hubbard? I don't know how I feel about that. Fozzie, we might have words, buddy. We might have words. Parker Washington, Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford, Pittman, Downs. Solid. Good guys all around. Emmett Johnson, we'll see. Dulcich has the upside. Kamara, I just can't deal with Kamara. Rodgers, I can't deal with you. Look at you. I feel like you're trolling me with the Rodgers, Omar Cooper, Geno Smith group there. And Kamara. It's like Fozzie's like, let me take all the shit guys that Bender hates. And we'll do it that way. God bless you. God bless you. Jam Bolton taking the almost the 0 RB factor in there. Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. Beautiful. That's your 2 starting wide receivers and your 2 flex plays there. Trevion Henderson and DeAndre Swift, Jaden Daniels. Yes, and yes. Mark Andrews. Oh, am I on the clock? Sorry, kids, I'm on the clock here. Bender's on the clock. Who's he gonna take? Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Well, I guess if I've got Ricky Pearsall, I guess I'll go with a little Dejon Stribling too. How about that? I'll take a little Dejon Stribling with that pick there. So 3 picks to go here in the rest of our show. And we're rocking it out. So I like those teams. Listen, you know what? I like everybody's team up until round 12. Then all of a sudden it gets a little dicey. It gets dicey for all of us. But like I said, I could say something good and I could say something bad. I don't see any team here that I'm like, ew, this team sucks. If you caught me on SiriusXM on Monday night, I was watching we were covering the FSGA draft. And I was looking at Steve Gardner. He's a good friend of mine, runs USA Today. Him and Howard Kamen for the USA Today Advanced Local Duo. And it was a terrible team, and I let him have it. So I got nobody to rip here. I like what everybody's done. You guys have all had some sensible builds and some good stuff all around. So I will say that this is going to be it for us here tonight. I thank you all. Let's see. Can I just get the board so you can see Rashad Bateman with our final pick of the draft? And there you have it, sports fans. Beautiful. It has been an absolute pleasure drafting with all of you. It has been somebody just said, Howard, you just woke up my wife with that pick. Which one? The Stribling pick or the Braylon Allen pick? We'll have to see. I guess it was at 6:16, so I guess it was Dejon Stribling. So good morning, Chuck Bass's wife. Nice to see you. Give you a little shout out there. All right, but that's going to do it for us here tonight on the show. Again, want to thank everybody here for joining me. Listen, RTSports.com is the place to be. All sorts of money leagues here. The Beat Howard Bender League, again, this is $20 entry, $10,000 grand prize. If you haven't deposited on muscle memory, if you haven't deposited on RealTime Fantasy Sports yet, go to rtsports.com/Bender. That promo code Bender will get you a 50% match on your first deposit up to $500. I think next week, Jeff Power is going to be back with me. I think we're going to do a Fantasy Life Championship again, $300 entrance fee. And Jeff gets to do most of the commentary while I do my draft picking. So I think that's going to do it for us here tonight. Just wanted to, again, thank you guys. If you're watching on the YouTubes, please hit that like button on your way out. I'm Howard Bender. This has been an RT Sports production of the Beat Howard Bender Draft Tournament, Best Ball Tournament Draft. Peace out.